Hey guys, Loot Wizard here with another Soulforge video for Gems of War, and we have a new legendary troop out this week, the Stag. So we're going to go and try to get this in the event keys here in this video, and we're going to check it out. First of all, let's go to the Soulforge and check out the weapons and troops. So for weapons, here we have this weapon here, which I think this is a part of the event going on, I believe. If not, we can come back and get it in here. But it deals damage to an enemy, and then there's a 4% chance to kill them, boosted by elemental enemies. It would be better if it was allies, because then you could predict that by just creating an all-elemental team. But since it's elemental enemies, it's a little unpredictable. And you only get an extra 4% chance per enemy, and you can only have 4 enemies, so not really a high chance of lethal kill. So I would pass on this one. And if you scroll down here, there's a couple of other weapons down here. Elemental bow might be worth it just because there are some really strong elemental troops in the game. This does do a little bit of damage, and then that damage is boosted by elemental allies. It creates a mix of 6 blue and green gems for each elemental ally. So, and it does, if you have it fully upgraded, it does entangle the first enemy, and it also creates a leaf storm, which is more green gems on the board. So I do think this weapon is something that you should consider picking up for 300 diamonds. Now, if you're just beginning in the game, I would say pass on it. There's much better weapons to save up your diamonds for, such as rope dart or trickster shot, something like that. But if you're later in the game and you're just kind of like you already got all those really great weapons and you can spare the 300 diamonds, Elemental Bow is pretty good. Oaken Crown is just your generic weapon here for a kingdom. This one is Forest of Thorns, and it will generate mana for those types of troops. Moving on to the troops here, I'm going to skip over Summoning Stones for this video. We're just going to go straight to the Legendary and Mythic troops. For legendaries, we have Molech, we have Queen Mab, we have Keeper of Souls, and we have Umberwolf. So, we're going to take a look at these here real quick. Just looking at them, Queen Mab used to be like a really good troop. It still is okay. One of the things that's great about it is, I guess, it's kind of like a counter to goblin troops, because goblins get extra turns all the time, and if a troop is frozen, it will not get an extra turn, and this will freeze a random enemy on a 4 or 5 gem match, and so a lot of times that can be used as a counter for goblins. But other than that, it's not used as much as it used to be in the past. Molech drains mana from an enemy and then deals true damage boosted by mana drained. So it can be kind of a little bit lethal in some situations, but in most cases, Molech just isn't a go-to troop. I usually don't use them, so there's a lot of better legendary troops out there. Keeper of Souls is really good. Transforms all gems of a chosen color to skulls. So you can get a lot of 4 or 5 matches or more with this, just because you can transform a particular color to skulls. Works really good with like Mang, that weapon, as well as works good with other troops that do extra damage with skulls. So good troop there. And then the last one here, Umberwolf. I don't use it ever for damage, but the one thing that I do use it for, especially in like soul farming teams, is that it will create a dark storm at the start of every turn, which means you're going to have a lot more purple gems falling down on the board. So I used to use Umberwolf here with the Dragon Soul and Pharaoh's Ra, and that would be a good like soul farming team. I don't have to farm souls anymore because I have just a lot of them, and I already have Dawnbringer, and most of my troops are leveled up, so I don't really use the farming team anymore. But Umberwolf is good for that one thing right there. So if you're lacking Umberwolf and you're really trying to farm souls, and you already have the Dragon Soul, you already have Pharaoh's Ra, you might want to consider picking it up just for that. But Keeper of Souls is also really good, but again, you can wait on it and get it in keys. Your chances of getting legendary troops are way higher in opening things like glory keys and gem keys than mythics. So I would not craft, these legendaries here. But in order of like how I would place them is I would probably say that Keeper of Souls would be my number one pick. Second to that, probably Queen Mab. Third, Molech. And then fourth, Umberwolf. Even though it just doesn't do much damage, really. But, I use it mainly for that mana generation. So, now, looking at the Mythic troops here, we have Jotnar Stormshield, Elamagrim, Tian Yi, and TINA-9000. And yes, the power level of Tina is 9,000. So, y'all know what I'm going to pick is my number one mythic. It's going to be TINA-9000 just because the potential of doing damage with this is just incredible. It does true damage to 3 random enemies. It gains armor after you cast it, and it's a considerable amount of both the true damage and the armor. And it's really great against things that have barrier because the first hit on the troop will knock the barrier off, and then it's going to hit it 2 more times doing that true damage. Works really great against things like Dawnbringer that are really annoying that puts barrier on everything. But it also reduces spell damage by 50%, which is awesome. Adds 50% of armor to skull damage. The only downside of this troop is that it does not have any way to mitigate skull damage. So, I guess, that's not totally true because gaining armor every time you cast it is kind of a way to absorb some skull damage. So it kind of has that, but it doesn't have any way there's no stat that reduces it or dodges skull damage. So, but I guess adding the armor kind of is a way to do that. But TINA-9000 is amazing. Definitely worth the 4,000 diamonds. So that's my number one without a doubt. Second to that, it's probably going to be Elamagrim, just because Elamagrim it does damage to all enemies, and it has a way to generate mana here. It creates 9 purple gems, boosted by burning enemies, and it takes purple, so it's generating mana for itself. That's always a really good plus. It's immune to all status effects, devour, mana burn, all that great stuff. And then on 4 or 5 gem matches, it decreases all enemies' attack damage by 4. So if you start getting a looping going with a lot of gems being matched, it can reduce the attack damage of enemies down to 0, which means if they attack with skulls, you're not going to take any damage. So that's awesome. But it does good spell damage, reduces attack damage from enemies, and it creates mana for itself. So those are all awesome things. So that's my number 2 pick. Number 3 is going to be Tian Yi. They did boost it a little bit, and I think it is definitely better now than it used to be when it first came out. It deals heavy splash damage to an enemy, and it stuns all affected enemies. And then it deals double damage if its attack is greater, and will summon 1 to 3 monkey disciples if there's room for them. It can't generate mana for itself, so that's kind of a little bit of a negative, but it does do, this heavy splash damage is, it's going to deal damage to the troop and then 75% damage to adjacent troops to that one. So whenever you do splash damage, you generally want to do it to the 2 middle troops, one of the 2 middle troops, not the top troop or the bottom troop, because if you do that, the splash damage, there'll be no troop. If you do it on the top troop, you're not going to have a troop above that troop that the splash damage will affect. Or if you do it on the bottom troop, you target that one, there won't be a troop under it that splash damage will affect. So to get the most damage out of splash damage, you want to focus in on the second or the third enemy troop on that team. But it will do double the 45 heavy splash damage here. If your attack damage right here, minus 50 on this troop, if that's higher than the enemy that you target, then it will do double the splash damage here. So for me, that's going to be, way up there. It's going to be like 90 heavy splash damage, which is actually pretty good. And it's the lowest cost for a mythic troop of 20, so that's awesome. The other thing, too, is that every single turn it steals 2 magic from the first enemy. So your magic here is going to be increased just the longer it stays in battle. So I do like this troop somewhat. I use it in Wildfolk teams quite a bit, but it still doesn't match up to TINA-9000. And then, of course, Jotnar Storm Shield is going to be in last place there. So, to recap here, TINA-9000 is my #1 pick this week. And then second to that is Elamogrum. Third to that is Tianyi. And finally in fourth is Jotnar Storm Shield. So that's how I would place the Mythics, in my personal opinion, this week. So, yeah. And let's go check out the weekly event troop. I got to go to the shop here. Let's check out Earth Dreamer for 300 glory, and you get 1 arcane forest trait stone for 300 glory. So if you do need that type of arcane forest trait stone, now's a good time to purchase those. Let's take a look at its ability. It's called Crown of Leaves. It gives 24 attack and life to the first ally, boosted by elementals, elves, and green allies, and the boost ratio is a 2, so you will the 24 attack and life, there will be 2 added to that for every elemental, elf, and green ally. So not a huge boost, but you know, a little bit there. You know, has nature link 2 in the traits, so not a horrible troop. More of a support kind of troop that you know, so I'm gonna go ahead and buy that. And so let's go over and check out, I was going to say we can check out the event here, but let's actually try to get the legendary troop, because there's a new one out this week. And so if you're trying to get this new legendary, event keys is the place to do it this week. You're not going to get the new legendary going gem keys, glory keys, guild keys, or VIP keys right now. It's only in the event keys. And I usually get pretty good luck with legendaries, so I am thinking I'm going to get it within the first, like, probably, I'm going to say within the first 3 openings here of these 50 chests. I could get it the first time, but, you know, we'll see. So I'm going to open 50 at a time instead of 200. We got the very first card that opened was legendary, Sylvana Mora, which is, it is an okay legendary, but not the one we're going for. And, I got 2 more copies of it, so that's a total of 3 of that one. And we're just looking for, and Gloomleaf, that's another legendary in this kingdom. There we go, and look at that, we got a bunch of legendaries here. We got Gloomleaf, King Avlorn, Sylvana Mora. I got like an extra 5 copies of Sylvana Mora now. But it took me, I think, 4 tries, so it was 200 keys. The Were Stag, finally got it. 16 mana cost. It's a beast monster. Colors are yellow and green. As for its ability, it's called Spirit Antlers. It will deal 24 true damage to the first and last enemies. Then it creates 3 Doom Skulls for each lycanthropy gem on the board. So yeah, they're really doing a lot of stuff with these new gems here. And let's take a look at its traits. First one isn't that great, but it usually never is. Allied beasts gain 2 life. Second one here, 50% chance to convert a purple gem to lycanthropy gem at the start of my turn. Oh, that's pretty good. And then third one, inflict lycanthropy on a random enemy when matching form. Wow, okay. So we actually have you know, quite a bit of things going on with this troop. That's interesting, actually, because here I was thinking at first, like, I was like, create 3 Doom Skulls for each lycanthropy gem on the board, but I was like, you know, if we don't have a good way to, you know, create a lot of those gems on the board, then you're not going to be able to create a lot of Doom Skulls. But it actually has a 50% chance to convert a purple gem to a lycanthropy gem at the start of my turn, which is awesome. And then it also inflicts that status effect on enemies on 4 or more gem match. So that's actually, this might be a pretty, and it's doing true damage as well. You know, and imagine if you had like 2 of them in a team, at the start of each turn, you would have a 100% chance instead of a 50% chance. I think, if it stacks that way, so that'd be awesome. I gotta go here, troops, and let's go ahead and upgrade this thing. There it is. gonna go ahead, upgrade it. And since it is a beast, we can include the Forged Guardian legendary troop with it if we want it to start at half mana. But yeah, deals. Once I had it fully upgraded here, it will deal 33 true damage to the first and last enemies. And then it's going to be creating those 3 Doom Skulls for each Lycanthropy gem on the board. And the boost ratio is a 3, of course. There, it says it right in the card, and then it also shows it over there. But yeah, so if you have, let's say you have 10 of them on the board, it's going to create, what? It's going to create 30 Doom Skulls on the board if you have 10 Lycanthropy gems. Wow, okay. That could get pretty crazy. So, interesting card there. We'll have to play around with that. A second copy might actually be pretty good to have, too. But, yeah, for anyway, let's go check out the event here. It's called The Wisdom in Dreams. And I still haven't gone over to the shop here. But, yeah, so I usually buy all the way up until I get a medal. Because that's where you're going to get the most damage. Now, they could go either way here with spell damage or skull damage, but they might just have a bonus to both damage types because we can... There's troops in, I think, this whole forest kingdom here that does convert things to gems to skulls. They're doing both. So, Medal of Dawn, 160% skull and spell damage for all troops. So, that's good. And let's go back here. Wisdom in Dreams. So, let's check out what kind of a team we can come up with. Troop type is Elemental and Elf. So, there's a lot of good options we have there. But the mana color must also be green. And for Elementals, you know, I think Gobtruffle is an Elemental. So, for those of you that like to just use the easiest team. We got Rowan too, and since we're going to be doing like high spell damage, 160% extra, Rowan's going to be a good choice to go with as well. But I think I might have passed it. Isn't Gobtruffle a elemental? Yeah, it is. See? Right there. So you could do something like that, Gobtruffle, or you could use Rowan. Or Rowan, however you want to pronounce this thing's name, I never know. But yeah, those are good options right there, those 2 troops. And if you're building an elf team, you got this guy that starts all elves with half mana. And I noticed in here that we had Yao Guy right here. So that's an awesome option as well. So... You know, like you could do something like this. Put these 2 in here. And yeah, and we're also getting a boost for skull damage, so you could use the Wild Queen, and that would be awesome for skull damage right there. But you got Aquaticus, you got Arachnean Weaver, King Bloodwood, Phoenicia. You got Elder Father here for skull damage. You know, you got some good options here for troops. And then for weapons, you know, it just has to be green. That's all it has to be. So we have Essence of Evil. You got the Doomed Glaive. We have Jar of Eyes. You got that for mana generation if you want it. Trickster Shot should be in here too, which we're going to be doing so much extra spell damage. So that would be incredible. So a team like this, and then if we go some kind of mana generator. What kind of mana generator do we have? You got Tiri, you got we got Bog Strider. So we could go like this, Bog Strider, and we could do a banner for double green. Like, let's do double green, purple, I guess. Yeah, I was going to convert all the purple gems to red, which might hurt Trickster Shot a little bit. But, we'll figure that out. But, we could, using like the Archer class is probably pretty good. I'll probably use the Slayer because I'm trying to level that one up to 100. But this Archer class is really good. You could even put it at the top if you wanted to, but it would kind of block Bog Strider. But in its traits here, it has a 15% chance of lethal kill. It does start with 50% mana. In its traits there, it has Root Trap. Nature's Aura, it'll create a Leaf Storm at the start of the battle, which is really good. Has some other good things there. So, yeah. So if we use a team like this, but Trickster Shot is going to be amazing for this event because we have 160% bonus to spell damage, and Trickster Shot, as you guys probably already know, is, it basically increases its magic by the armor that it destroys. So every time you cast it on an enemy, it's going to eliminate its armor, convert that armor to magic damage. So its magic damage is going to be through the roof. But right now, all these enemies are such low level. It's just one hit kill, basically. But we have a lot of good options. And, I pointed out a few troops there. You can build kind of an elf team. You can build something around elementals like Gob Truffle, like I mentioned. You could build something, you could do a mix between elf and elemental. You could, there's a lot of stuff you could do. And like if you really want to shut enemies down instead of just doing massive damage, you could equip the Essence of Evil weapon and really, shut enemies down. Yeah, this is pretty pitiful. These enemies are so so low level. But yeah, lots of good options though, which is nice. I like it when I have a lot of options for troops and weapons to use because it just makes it a little more fun, when you can actually make up a team out of troops. So we'll do another battle here, and that'll probably be it for this video. I think I covered pretty much everything here going on. But Bog Strider is good for a mana generator. It will destroy like 30 gems or so. And yeah, I like using it when I can. But yeah, so those are some of my team and troop ideas, I guess, here for this event. I don't think there's anything else I can really show you guys here. There is a class trial coming up for the Archer class, and Archer is actually pretty good. Yeah, that's basically it. I think this is the only event we got going on this week. It is, so we just have this event going on, and then next week we have Guild Wars, and looks like 2 other events going on at the same time. So next week is going to be busy. But, alright, well, that's the end of this video. I appreciate you guys watching my videos all the time, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Later.